Here, guys, is going to be an opening title element over video. Call it an intro if you wish, right? Using text and font tools in After Effects, minimum of 8 seconds in length again. Only this time it's going to be a 1920 by 1080 or HDTV 1080 is what it's called, as an H.264 MPEG 4. So it's pretty much the same way, just a different size. So this is where we might either want to work from the, again, if I work from video immediately, it might not be 1920, 1080. So let me just show you here what I'm talking about. So let's just grab a video clip and let's just grab this guy here. Go. And so you see here, it says this is a 1920 1080 at 24 frames per second. So this was just some video I found. So, and it is 20 seconds in length. So it's more than enough time to get the basic little opening title element to it all. So if I were, though, to drag it down to the bottom here to create the composition, it's going to be set to these settings. Now, that does not mean I can't change it. Okay. So if I were to drag this down below and put it into my composition, you see now it is a 1920 by 1080 composition, but I always want to double check my settings to make sure, yes, it is 1920, 1080 or HD 1080. Problem is it's 24, so we switch to 30, okay? Because I always want to work at 30 because that's the default frame rate for video. And it is 20 seconds in length because that's how long the video was. Okay. Well, I said it only needs to be a maximum of 8 seconds or a minimum of 8 seconds. So I'll just take 8 and I'll hit OK. Now you'll notice that the name of this composition is based upon the name of the original video. Now, again, I can always rename that. Last name, we'll call this opening. And you see I've adjusted it here and so on. Now, remember I said that one thing people make the mistake sometimes is they'll accidentally double click a layer. And you see how now it changes what it looks like here. This is for doing like masking and adjustments and rotoscoping and tracking. All that says that it just opened up the layer here. See that? Which I can basically just say, no, I want my composition layer, or I can even close out that layer and get back to just the composition. So that happens a lot where people are like, I don't understand. I lost everything and all it's showing me is the one layer. Well, that's because you are now in layer view. And so here's this little video clip, this monkey doing whatever, right? Now, what constitutes an opening title? Typically, I'll just put it at 1 second here. We want to have it fade from black, okay? Fade up. So I'm going to key opacity at 1 and go sometime in the, just off the 0 here. Just have that do an opacity of 0. So now I get this fade up, okay? Now, title work typically is done using T tool. So if I grab the text tool here and I just click journey, what am I got here? Oh, I got black text. Hold on, let me double click it and change it to white. Journey. Let's just make some into whatever. And now I'm just going to set this up so that it gives me an interesting kind of layout. Now, font choices. Okay. You notice we've got a couple things to deal with when we're dealing with text, especially title. And this applies to everything else. I'm not trying to make a statement. I'm not trying to be overly creative with this. The purpose of text and title is to be read. So that is why we avoid, fancy, thin text. There's no point in using that as my text. And I don't really want to use some brilliant, bright color because that doesn't make any sense. The general rule is white on dark and dark on light, and big, thick, easy to read fonts. Now I can have some fun with this and kind of change it up a little bit so that maybe Journey and Jungle are one font, And then just grab a simple there kind of font. So again, the purpose is to read. Now this is where I might want to turn on my title action safe so I get my center grid and I'm able to play around with this. Okay, and then I just need to think about, well, when do I want this title to appear? So you can see, I could say, you know what, maybe not until 1. So maybe I'll just back it off here. And just like that, it is immediate appearance, see, just because of cutting that off. Now, I could also go into my category for transform here and animate this, especially if I brought it in as separate layers, right? And I could do that even if I were to create the text inside of, like, say, Photoshop or Illustrator. Or I actually have some pre-made animation in and animation out effects located here inside of After Effects. And these are over here in the effects presets. You see animation presets, text, and you see there's a whole bunch of folders here that automatically animate in, animate out, blur. So let's just go to animate in. And I'll just choose one of these. Let's see, fade up line, fade up words, fly in from the bottom, fly in with a twist, pop in, you know, all these different. Now, again, I'm not going to go through what all these do, but you can play around with them. Smooth move in. I kind of like this last one here called typewriter. And what I'm going to do is wherever my blue marker is here, right? So even if I have this lasting the whole time, wherever I put this blue marker, let's say right about there, and wherever I drag this effect onto that text layer is where it's going to start. So you see, it now has given me text, animator, range selector, and it shows me a start key and an end key automatically built in. So as I scrub, you see it is typing it in and it ends at that end mark. Now, if that's too slow, you can simply make those closer together. If it's too fast, you can stretch it apart. You could even control the percentage values here and set more keys. So I could even have it say, you know, jungle or journey, okay, key at 36, move forward a little bit, change this back to 36, see? Or maybe not 36, maybe it should be 35. Let's try 35%. Okay. Then come from 35 to here, which is 73%, right? Into the, back to 73. And then have it, then finish off at the end, jungle. So what I'm doing is I'm controlling the speed of the type. So it'll go journey into the jungle. And you see jungle's really slow, okay? Now, again, you can move those around, you can control that. And again, these pre-made animate ins or these pre-made text effects only work, however, on text that you build inside of After Effects using the text tool. For example, let me just show you what I'm talking about here. Let me go ahead and import the project folder of the animated logo, right? So I'm going to just import that in. So that's what I just did already. And that now gives me my composition, which is right here. So you'll notice that because this was built in Photoshop, like the Welcome To or the Costa Rica, the T tool won't work on that because it's just a flattened layer. And these keys will not work on that. The keys and these shortcut effects only work on the T tool. Now, I have my title lasting for a little bit. Let's go ahead and have it animate out or disappear. For that, I'm going to use a animation preset, and I'm going to use text, and I'm going to use a blur. And let's see, this blur I'm going to use, I'm going to put it right here. I'll call this evaporate. Whoops, let's get it so I can see it. See? So here's my layer, and I'm going to put this evaporator right there. You see now that has added a new evaporator animator, which has given me a range selector of a start and an end. Now, if you do it, you don't see start and end, you have to undo and then put it further back or something like that. So now you're going to see it's going to evaporate. Excellent. And you know what? It's too slow for me. Let me make it happen a little faster. So I have a title animating in and a title animating out using a preset. Now, me personally, it's white on a darker background, but not that dark. Watch what I can do here in the perspective. Let's go ahead and put a drop shadow on there. Change the opacity, change the distance, maybe add some softness to it. See, so now it just stands out. So all I'm looking for here is, again, a video. I can even tell that video at the end, like I did already, to key and fade out, right? Because you want it to fade in and fade out. That's what all videos do. So they're not just shouting at you immediately. And I'm going to go ahead here, grab the T tool here, click, and I'm going to say a video by me. Right? That's one of the reasons why we're learning all this, is to be able to put your name on things. Let's go ahead and put it inside, like I said, our title safe block, right like that. And I can make it a little bit shorter here. And here, I'm just going to do, wrong layer, whoops, wrong layer. Sure, have the right text layer here. And here, I'm just going to do an opacity. Let's have this pop up once the title's all on screen. And I'm just going to have this be an opacity fade up. Oops. Fade up. And fade down keys. And again, I can copy paste, fade up and fade out keys. So now my name is just going to fade up and fade out. That's why I'm teaching you this, guys. Like I said, this is all about, maybe you'll take a class later on and you have to turn in a video file and they want you to put your name on it or something like that. Now you know how to do that. We're going to cover this also, of course, in Premiere and how to use their tools in Adobe Premiere to do it. Now, the last thing I might do here is, let's find some music. Let's just drop in some audio file here, just some simple music. And you see it's a music file. And if I open up my waveform, you can see, especially if I hold in my control key, there's a lot of intro here, but then the music actually kind of starts right here. That big boing, boing, boing. So I'm just going to take this and just trim this clip. But I'm looking for that beginning of the waveform for the beginning of my title, or for when the video appears, let's say. Okay, and now you see that waveform is popping right there. And it's making sound effects and making music. And then it's going to do it again here when these things fade away. So all I need to do, of course, is just like I did the fade in and the fade out of the video, key the auto levels right there, go to the beginning, and turn those decibels down as far as they can go to make it fade in audio. Now, I know what it looks like, so I'll switch to quarter view, just so I have a faster playback. And I'm looking here and I'm like, why is my video by visible? Yeah, see why that's just start. Again, it's going to sound weird because it's RAM previewing. It's not doing it real time. Let it chug along. Watch your green progress bar. Now, if that progress bar stops and it starts playing, that means you need to make it a little smaller. Let it play through. Okay. Like I say, if you're still having issue getting the playback right, make it smaller. Right? I know what it looks like. I'm not worried about that. I'm now listening and I'm watching. Yeah, just like that. Now, here's a cool factor. Just make this fit. Okay? Because remember, I also did this animated Costa Rica logo here. You know what? That is in the project listing here. See, here's the Costa Rica comp. And it's down here, so if I want to keep working on it. But watch what I can do with this. I'm going to drag this, toss it over here into the lower thirds. That. Make it be smaller. Like so. And now you see how we can add even animated logo into an open title. Okay, now I'm like, oh, well, I don't like the audio playback right now, right, from that logo. So I can just turn off my little speaker. So now it's just that. So you can see how these compositions can work once you get the composition built. Build and build and build and build upon. All right. I kind of like what I'm doing here. Let's go ahead and just save as. Right. This is going to go into our project folder. This would be, of course, the last name title in case I want to keep working on it or working on it later time. And now we need to use output, which again is going to be a 1920 1080 or HDTV 1080, again, H.264. So I take it, make sure I have it selected, right? I've got this, entire thing selected here, not just, the composition selected, not the logo, but the composition I built. Let's export it, add to media encoder queue. This loads up the media encoder queue. There it is right there. It's already loaded in. I have to hit this first one, even if it looks right. Hit it. Choose H.264. Now, it is a high quality 1080, or you see there are some other settings if I needed to do this, but I want a 1080 high quality. Click on the output name and make sure you get the right location. See, it's going to go to that other folder. Last name, open title, hit save. I'll just give it another letter here. Let's put it B. Double check. I can scrub through to make sure, again, it is exactly what I want. And I don't have a bunch of leftover time at the end, that it's actually chopping it properly. Hit OK. And then hit the green arrow to see my preview work. Okay. And you can see it actually progress here. Again, my resolution of my screen is quite high, so it doesn't all fit. And you see your progress. And when it's done, we can then select this, move that from the encoder, And just like that, it's done. So I can highlight this, remove it from my media encoder, okay, and then minimize my encoder. All right, so that now gives us an opening, title, text, that kind of thing. Last is a dynamic slideshow. Now, typically the way to work here is just go to a new project. It clears it all out, but remember to also do this if you're done. Edit, purge all memory and disk cache, because it is currently storing those previews. Every time I hit the space bar and it built the preview, it stored it. And you can see I have 3.6 gigabytes of basic trash to get rid of. So clear, and so that happens a lot. Like I worked for years in After Effects, guys, and I couldn't figure out where all my memory went. I had multiple gigabytes memory on my old laptop and I couldn't figure out where it all went. It kept saying out of memory, out of memory. So I actually started deleting stuff on my laptop that I actually wanted to keep. It turns out in my After Effects cache, I had something like 250 gigabytes of old RAM preview from projects I'd been working on for years. Well, imagine how surprised I was to finally get that back. It was like, oh, wow, I just freed up my whole hard drive. That's kind of nice. So just remember that simple edit purge kind of technique.
Well,
all right. Yes.
I just cleared my cache because I've used this program a lot before, and it was about 120 gigabytes of my storage.
Congratulations. See? Congratulations. And believe it or not, Photoshop has a cache, Premiere has a cache, and it'll store that for your cases. But then if you realize your performance is down or you don't have the memory, it's because it retains that, so it doesn't have to recache it every time you're working. So yeah, you basically just got a new hard drive. Congratulations. All right. So the third part here is a photo still created slideshow. So you can work with photos, you can work with still artwork, renderings, photos, I don't care. The point is that, like I say, if you want to make a portfolio or a demo reel or a video of your work, this is how you would do it. If you are a photographer and you want to take your photos and turn them into some animated or video Instagram slideshow, this is how you would do it, okay? Students will keyframe transitions and movements between each still, as well as add some music or other audio to the slideshow. Minimum of 10 images and about 30 seconds. What's that tell you? 10 images, 30 seconds. You're looking at about 3 seconds per image. 1001, 1002, 1003. Okay. Output size this time, though, is to be a 1280 by 720 or the output of Facebook 720p and encoded back again at the H.264. H.264, guys, is basically, that's your MP3. That's your JPEG is what that compression is. It's really high compression, which means it uploads. It's a small file size. It plays back pretty quickly without a whole lot of loss of information. All right, so I know I need a 1280 by 720, and I know I need 10 images brought into After Effects. Well, I could go to File and Import, right? I could come in here, find my photos. I'm just going to grab these photos here. Okay, so let's do that. And I could even just come in and drag them in this way. So I got all my photos loaded up in there, and I actually have them numbered for that reason. Now, let me show you what you don't want to do. Okay, you don't want to file import. And again, I'm just right-clicking import file. Okay, because if we have our photos numbered in a sequence, what happens is it automatically will turn on import JPEG sequence by default. We don't want that, because what that's going to do is that's going to convert those images into a sequence, which basically makes them play back frame by frame like an animation, which means my 10 pictures will play back at 10 frames, which is not enough time to actually see what I want them to do. So just be careful. You don't want to choose the first one, and because it will automatically import all of these, not individually, but as a video clip that will only be the length of how many you have, which is bad. Okay, so you can deactivate that sequence button or just select them and drag them in. Now, the video I provide that shows you how to do this, which is pretty cool, the little tutorial, is the way I actually would prefer you go about doing this. Now, I could then take these and drag these right down here, offset them, and tell the story picture by picture by picture. But there's actually a shortcut here. Watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just take them and drag them down. Remember, there's no composition yet. But After Effects has this built in that if we drag a bunch of JPEGs into the composition area, we're going to get this cool pop-up that says create a new composition from selections. Okay, single composition. Sure. Use the dimensions from. Well, I don't know which one of these are close to being 1280 by 720. So I'm just going to choose one. I have no idea. And it says, how long do you want your stills to last? Now, I did say 3 frames per second, 10 pictures, 30 seconds minimum. But the weird part, guys, is that 4 seconds per image is actually better. And if anybody here's ever studied music, there's a reason why 4 seconds are the best. And that is because most music we listen to is a 4/4 beat. Without, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. So if you're going to use music, it will automatically almost time the slideshow to when the music changes, which is a really cool, happy accident, just to be aware of. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it at 4. Now, even here, look at this. I could send it right off to my render queue if I want, but I'm not. And I'm going to turn on this sequence layers button because this is actually going to overlap each photo by 1 second and do a cross dissolve front and back layer. Meaning it's automatically going to overlap 1 second each of these photos, and it's automatically going to keyframe the opacity shift from 0 to 100. So I get that smooth transition of a photo fading in and the next one, or the one fading out as the next one fades in, and so on. So all I got to do here is hit OK. And you see what it has done. Now this means I can come here and automatically just go ahead and rename last name slideshow. Okay, just to get my composition named accordingly here and here. Now, it brought them in alphabetically, which is why the award show logo is actually correct. And you see down below, it automatically stacked them as layers, offset them in time. And if I scrub, you're going to see that transition of opacity shift from one to the next. The problem, of course, best illustrated by this one right here is, why on earth would I waste all that space? It's a vertical photo. So this is where we're going to do some changes to this. Okay. First things first, I don't know what the size of my comp is. Now it says it's 1200 by 800 because I used that one photo. I want to go in composition settings and make sure that it's, what did I say, 1280 by 720, 1280 by 720. So I'm going to say 1280 by 720. Square pixels is correct. We don't want any other squeeze ratio other than square pixels. 30 frames per second is correct. And you see the duration is actually 31 seconds. I can hit OK. Now what it wants me to do here is go through each of these. And you see what I can do with this is scale this to fit. Scale them to fit, scale them to fit. But I'm actually going to show you a slightly different way here. Okay. Now, if I zoom to the beginning, again, you'll notice just by opening up, remember, it automatically keyed opacity shift for the overlap, but it did not include my fade up. See, at the beginning. Now remember, that's just black. And it didn't give me my fade out at the end. So I'm just going to add those. See, add the key, 100 opacity, turn this down to 0 to fade out. So just that quickly, I'm able to do that. So this is my intro little slate. Again, you could use one, you don't, I'm just using it as a title card. Okay, now I need to look at this and make these fit better because they're not, right? I have all that extra real estate there to fill in and it's just sloppy. So I'm gonna go ahead and scale this, okay? But again, I could even have more fun with this. Watch this. So I'm right here. I'm gonna play around with scale. Key the scale at the beginning of the clip. See that? Scale it up at the end of the clip. So now, instead of just a boring single image, it's gonna give more animation to it all. See? Let's go to the next one here. Okay, so again, maybe I'll do some interesting things here. So maybe here, I will add some rotate, okay, and position, key those two, move those two markers to the beginning, and then rotate the opposite direction. Like that, take those two keys and move them to the end. So again, I'm just telling a better story with these photos than living with the default. You're also noticing I'm not using this to scale because this is not constrained. I'm using the actual open transform keys. So here, scale to fit. A little bit larger, okay. Key position, go to the beginning. Have this pan downwards, put that at the end. So now I'm maximizing my screen for the photo that it happens to be. Here again, let's go ahead and scale this. Have it start here, position. I'm just gonna have this pan to the right a little bit. That at the end of the clip. This next one, here again. Have its initial position, put that to the beginning, put it on down, put that at the end. So this just allows you, even though we're dealing in a horizontal world of video, we can still work with play around with scale a bit more here. Let's go position and scale. Go to the beginning. Position and scale. The second one, scale. And put those keys at the end. So we can have a lot of fun telling the, look how big this photo is. It's huge. Okay. Let's see here. I'll go with this. Key that position and scale. This time I'm just going to do it the opposite. So I want it to end up there. But and don't forget to move these now to the beginning. So you can work forward, you can work back, right or wrong. Let's just do a scale on this one. Scale that one. Now, if you're wondering, you may say to yourself, well, it looks kind of, is it pixelating here because you're scaling? Now, remember, I'm actually in quarter view. See? It's nice and crisp. This video is small. Scale here. And I'll do a little position. Actually, I'm going to do a scale. I did scale, I meant to say position too. And then that at the end. Let's go back to the beginning, hit the space bar and see the process. You you see how you're telling more of a narrative with these stills. You're making, imagine, like I said, if it was your artwork, if it was other photography, it's, you know, you're kind of bouncing the eyeball around, making it more interesting. And yeah, there are apps that do this, sure, but you're in control here. If I wanted to too, I could go through these individual photos here and say, you know what? Now these are all very nice photos, but what if they were, I don't know, too dark? I've got color correction I can do. See, brightness, contrast, exposure, levels. I can, I can distort, smear, stylize. I'll get through a lot of these later on, but these are just very, very much like Photoshop. I can affect these photos in much the same way. Right? Now, maybe I want to, hell, let's just go ahead and grab a text. Right now, again, these aren't mine, but if you're doing it, right, you might as well own it if they're actually yours. Now, again, I can turn on my action title safe to put this in a good watermark area, wherever it happens to be. Okay, I can have this, of course, fade in and fade up. Playing around with the opacity. Now I realize that I dropped that text, unfortunately, in the wrong layer here. So let's put it to the very top. Okay. In fact, I'm gonna put this up there. And now I've basically put my little watermark to it. And watch what's cool here. Watch this even. Layer, blending mode. Let's do an overlay. No, too light. Layer, blending mode, multiply. No, that's too little. Layer, blending mode, screen. I don't know. Maybe what I should do with it, since it's giving me all this heartache, go with black, change my blending mode to, let's try to overlay there. There, see how it's somewhat transparent now? Because it's just there, but it's watermarking it. Okay, so it's not completely obnoxious on all the clips. It's there, but not. I can even keyframe that light and brightness and contrast so that I can be light when I need it to be light and dark when I want it to be dark. Right. Now, one thing a lot of people do too is they think that they can put it, they want to put an outline stroke. See, I could even put an outline stroke. Okay. The problem with that is, guys, is the strokes are, see, I could do fill over stroke. Yes, fill over stroke. Maybe make it a little thinner, but outline text in video is not really your friend. It will vibrate. But again, I'm kind of just creating a watermark there anyways. In fact, it's telling me, I'm sorry, I'm not done with my name yet because I don't like where it is. Because it's always over, directly over top of, and just drop it right over. Yeah, now it's more out of it. Okay. Remember to save and save often. Okay, and it's going to be in production here, so this will be the slideshow. What else is it? What's it missing? Right? It's still a little boring. Again, if I were to put some more music to it, back to my audio music and bring in some audio. This is a cool, see, let's say I want to cut that audio clip in half here. I can split the layer. Look at that. Come here, key my wave levels so that it has a fade up. That faded up. Okay. At the end, I can key the fade out. Now, when we get to Premiere, Premiere has a lot of easy buttons that will easily, they're default transitions, audio transitions. They're probably in here in After Effects. I'm just showing you how to actually work with it. So let's just give a look and see what we got now. Again, just go to the quarter view. Let's make it 50%. You notice the happy accident because I know the song's a 4/4 beat and I lined it up when music was starting at a particular beat. The beat is matching the changing of the picture. All right, pretty cool. Now, me personally, this is where I have yet to kind of show you guys this, but let's go to audio a second and let that watch to see if it peaks in the red. So you see, it is peaking a bit into the red occasionally, especially with the loud beats. That's bad. So what I may want to...
Oh, teacher.
Someone's got the mic on.
Oh, me. I'm sorry.
That's
This
okay.
song is my Mongolian song.
Yes, it's the Who.
Yeah.
It's cool. I
That's
use it a lot. Yeah. So what I'm going to do here, though, is because that sound, that music is a little intense, is I might actually just want to drop this down to 6 decibels right here, and then go to the end, which was set to 0, and take that down to about -6 decibels. Because remember, you don't want to shout it. It's not about the music here, really. It's about the slideshow. The music is just there to kind of entertain and kind of, keep a pace and keep it interesting. I've known people even, let me just show you this really quick too. Okay, let's go here. And let's say camera shutter sound effect. I've known people that have done this, or find a sound shutter effect, and then put that so whenever the picture changes, you get that chink, right? Something like that. Find it, download it. Oh, it wants me to log in, of course. No, I don't want to log in. But there are sites out there that show you free sound effects. Usually it's like Sound Bible or something like that is a very common one. SoundJ, Storyblocks. Let's see if this makes me have to download. Let's see. Winding sound like there. There, see? And this is where we get into the 2 most common sound files to deal with. And we talked about this week 1. We have WAV files and we have MP3 files. WAV files are lossless. They're uncompressed, which means you can use them again and again and again, and they won't deteriorate. Whereas MP3s are kind of like your MPEG-4 or your JPEG, meaning they're lossy, meaning every time you use it, adjust it, sample it, it's going to lose some quality. So I'm just going to quickly download here. That gives me my WAV file here. And After Effects can work with either or. And let me just go into After Effects really quickly. Back into my project file. Import. Now, remember, where did that just go? That went into my downloads. So I'm going to cut it out of my downloads and then go to the proper folder it's supposed to be, which of course will be Extra Media Tools, After Effects, Audio, Music, Paste, and then I can import that in my shot. Let's go ahead and see what that is. And you see now what it is. It is just a tiny little audio wave file that represents the shutter. Go ahead and zoom in. And now wherever I find, should be about 4 seconds, it's going to get one of these. Okay? Now I already know where it starts and ends. So you can see where I could basically just overlap that right there. Command D to duplicate it. Command D, duplicate it. Now, if we start to get a little crazy, we can't quite see what we're doing. You see, I can actually just nudge this up a bit, get a little bit more real estate here to see what I'm doing. Command D. And I'm just dropping this right in between to give that illusion of when the camera takes a picture. Just like that. So now let's go back. And that's why I turned down the volume of the music a little bit. Beginning. See? Now, obviously the brand preview needs to take, but you notice now my audio is not peaking in any way. So. And so sound effects add so much to it, but the secret of working with audio, this is what I teach in animation, I teach this in film, I teach this in game art, is that the audio is the easiest way to cheat because you can time your things you want to time without guessing to the audio waveform itself. So like if you want something to appear, if you're editing, like when we go into Premiere and we do the slideshow or we do something like that, when you want to change the picture, wait for the music to give you a pop in the waveform. And that's basically saying, hey, when do I actually go from one video to another video? Let your music designate it. That's how music videos work. That's how movies and TV shows work and everything, because it's the human natural element is to see things in typically a 4/4 manner, 4/4, 8, 16, something like that. And that's why a lot of shots are usually timed based upon the sound effect or the music that's there. All right, so we're all said and done here. Remember, our last step, of course, is to file and export media encoder. Hit the blue first option, whatever that happens to be. I'm not going to trust the settings of the last video because the last video was 1080. So I want to make sure it's an H.264. What we were looking for, of course, here was was the 1280 by 720. So I'm going to come here and let's see, there's a mobile device 720. There's a high quality 720. See, that's 1280, 720. Or if we looked at the description, it actually listed it as Facebook 720. So let's just use that. Okay, go here and find our, now it doesn't show me Facebook 720. That's weird. Did it take that out? Or I bet it's there. It's just my window doesn't show it. Let's see. Maybe not. Okay. Well, I got a YouTube 720. I got a Vimeo 720, right? I got a Twitter 720. Just make sure whatever one you choose there, I'll go YouTube 720. It doesn't matter. Used to have Facebook. I mean, it probably still does. I probably just have the wrong screen size. Double check the name and the location because that needs to be updated. Remember? Slideshow, whoops. Letter B. And just make sure you choose maximum render quality. Hit OK. Hit the green arrow, and you got your rendering of your slideshow. Now, when it's all said and done, remember, you've got your folder here with your, well, in your case, your 3 files in it, right? All you'd have to do, of course, is right click, zip or compress it, and then you would upload that to the actual project folder here, right here in the